Introducing the Astrodyne Reference System. The program opens with the main menu. The software provides a very high level of detail with just a few mouse clicks. You can see this for yourself as we view an example progress chart. First, we click on the button called View Inventory of Charts. Click on any item on the list and it is selected. When a chart is selected, it appears on the Charts on Order list. The computer asks for a start date for the opening display date of the chart. Click on the button marked Select Today as the start date. Then, click on the button marked Run All Charts on Order, and in just a second or two, you are viewing the opening page of the progressed report. The opening page is the major progressed aspect grid for distance from perfect, major distance. And in the lower corner you also see the control console. Near the top of the screen is a line to identify the page. It begins with the name of the person for whom the chart is made, followed by MAP, M-A-P, for major progressed. And the table shows minutes and seconds of arc from perfect, and the time and date information. Across the top of the aspect grid are abbreviated the names of the 12 planets. The upper part of each row is shaded. The shaded area is for the 12 natal planets, and the unshaded area is for the 12 major progressed planets. Down the left of the grid is listed the symbols of each of the major progressed planets. So, following across the grid, we can see, for example, that Map Sun is parallel Map Moon. The down pointing arrow indicates that the aspect is separating. The aspect is 45 minutes and 7 seconds of arc past perfect. Also, Map Sun is semi-sextile Map Ascendant. The up pointing arrow indicates that the aspect is increasing. The aspect is 10 minutes and 27 seconds of arc from becoming exact. Next, Map Moon is semi-square natal Saturn, the diamond indicating that the aspect will come exact before the next report in the time sequence. This aspect is 5 minutes and 57 seconds of arc from coming exact. A few other aspects on the page have colored backgrounds, which indicates that there is another aspect which is hidden, which is a parallel aspect between the same two planet terminals. Below the aspect grid is also a table which shows aspects that are now coming exact, that have just arrived in orb, that will depart orb, and the projected local times of these events. Now we can examine the control console and then use it for some examples. You can move it by dragging its violet colored upper border. It can be hidden by clicking on the front back gadget. It looks like two overlapping squares in the top right corner of the console. The console has 4 columns: phase, reports, utilities, and time. Time. The time buttons are 2 pink buttons with black arrows. One points left, indicating the past, and the other points to the right, indicating the future. Clicking on these buttons moves the display 5 days ahead or 5 days backwards. The next column is the utility buttons. They are orange colored. Click on print and you get a page dump from the printer. Wheel button displays a chart wheel for the current date with major, minor, and natal planets represented on the wheel so that you can see the sign and house position of these planets. At the bottom is a detailed listing of the positions of all the planets along the ecliptic and by declination. Finish button quits this chart and returns to the main menu, but only after clicking on a second button for confirmation. Date Pick. The Date Pick button is a utility to change the display date. If you wish to change the display date by a large amount, you may use the Date Pick instead of clicking many times on the time arrows. It opens a selection window for you to click on the desired date to view. If you would like just to look at today's report, just click on the special button for today's date. Arrivals allows you to browse through several dates of records for exactness, arrival, and departure of aspects, while not changing the display date in the upper part of the screen. One other special orange colored button that is actually located under the time arrows is the Hidden Aspect button, which toggles the display to temporarily reveal hidden aspects. There are two columns remaining. These two columns work together. There are tan colored buttons and there are green colored buttons. The tan buttons are for phase buttons. The green colored buttons are report buttons. You need to click one tan button and one green button to get any response. The system is quite user-friendly, and you may click on these keys in any order. If you click on the wrong tan button or the wrong green button, just click the correct key and the previous mistake will be cancelled. The two-part button system may seem a bit odd, but it saves the need to have many more single button functions on the control console. Now, we will click on Major and Power. The display changes, the format is familiar, but now the aspects are showing their power or astrodynes. Now click on Harmony and then click on Major. This time the aspects show harmony or harmonides for each aspect on that date. Now click on Major and Terminals. This page shows a table with power and harmony scores totaled for the major and natal planet terminals and for each sign and house. When terminals are being displayed, another orange utility button appears, labeled Time Graph. When we click on this button, the console displays changes to show buttons for each of the graph types that are available for the major progress chart. For example, we will now click on Sign Power. On the left of the graph is a scale with numbers of astrodynes. The bottom of each number lines up with the horizontal line for that amount of power. Along the graph bottom are date pointers which correspond to 10 days for the space between each vertical graph line. Each sign is represented by a colored graph line which is labeled on the left with a colored symbol and on the right with a black colored symbol. On the bottom of the page, find two small overflow windows to indicate any signs which are currently outside of the display. There is a color-coded graph legend at the bottom of the screen. The console has changed also to show controls for zoom in, zoom out, pan up, and pan down. There is also a reset button which returns to the original display graph scale, and a continue button which restores the standard console so that you may continue on with other things. Now click on Time Graph again, and this time select Sign Harmony. Click once on the zoom in to get a clearer view of the finer details. Now click Continue, and we will click on Major Harmony. to display the harmonics for the major planet terminals. There are many other major graphs to view, but let's now look at the minor progress chart. We click on minor, and we click on distance, minor distance. An aspect grid appears. The format is familiar, except that all the planets along the left of the grid are minor progressed, or MIP planets, MIP. Next, click on Power and Minor. Next, click on Minor and Harmony. Then, click on Minor and click on Terminals. This page shows a dated table with power and harmony scores totaled for major and natal minor planets and each sign and house. When minor terminals are being displayed, the console will also display another orange utility button that will be labeled Time Graph. When we click on this button, the console displays changes to show buttons for each graph type for the minor progress chart. The power that is indicated for the minor reinforcement of major progressed aspects has also been added to the power scores for the minor chart, but no reinforcement power is ever attributed to the minor terminal itself. All of this reinforcement is added to the major terminals and the natal terminals of the planets. This reinforcement power is a tool we use to indicate when we expect that events of a particular type will likely transpire. Harmony scores are not given reinforcement, and this is a rule. Click on House Power. Click Continue. Click Time Graph. Click Sign Harmony. Click Continue. Now click Reinforced and click Power. Now you see a major progressed aspect grid showing the total reinforced power currently on each aspect. We use the minor reinforced numbers to indicate when we think events will transpire. But for an event to happen, there should also be a relevant aspect in the transit progress chart to act as an appropriate trigger. The software does not currently support Astrodynes for transits. That service is planned for the future, but one should understand that transit Astrodynes are 1/365.25 as powerful as a similar major aspect. A major aspect with 20 Astrodynes would only have 0.0547 Astrodynes if it would have been a transit aspect. The system does produce transit aspect reports, but only for distance from perfect. There is only one type of transit report produced. The transit button on the console need only have the single click to display the aspects. Transit reports are available for every day, not every 5 days. So, a new set of smaller red time buttons appear on the console when transits are displayed, so that the time jump forward or backward can be only 1 day or 5 days. The software is a valuable tool for astrologers and opens the door to many interesting avenues of scientific research. In addition to adding precision to the astrological readings, the Astrodyne system allows the experimenter to have quantitative measurements for verification.